Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Print Pros. So if you've been watching our episodes lately, you've seen me print on cotton shirts, polyester shirts, but it's usually just one shirt at a time. But in this episode today, we're actually gonna be taking on a bulk order, like the ones that you guys would be getting once you actually buy one of our machines. So I'm gonna be giving you some tips and tricks and showing you how you should set up your workflow to handle an order of 20 shirts or more. Also, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm actually gonna be showing you this workflow in action so you could actually see the most efficient way to get a bulk order done using one DTG printer. And speaking about the DTG printer, we're gonna be using our new Ricoma RI1000. If you guys are interested in learning more about that printer, go down to the link in the description. All right, so let's start printing. First up, I'm gonna grab one of my shirts over here, and as you can see, I actually have them with the collar facing me. So that is the way that I'm gonna have the shirt throughout this entire process. When I put it on my pre-treatment station, the collar is gonna be facing me, and the same is gonna be when I throw it on the heat press, and that way it's the same when I throw it on the DTG. And I put it all in this progressive order. That way I don't have to be turning around or any of that. It is basically everything is in front of me, so I'm not doing any awkward movements. Again, if you can save seconds, then seconds make minutes and minutes make prints. So keep that in mind and try to save as many as possible. All right, so I'm gonna fire up my spray gun, grab my first shirt, throw it on here. Now, when it comes to your shirts, here is the first tip. Now, you can either buy your shirts already pre-treated or you can pre-treat them yourself. And it is all dependent on your time and how much you have of it. So for example, today I only have one DTG printer going. So that means that in between prints, I actually have enough time to be pre-treating my shirts as the printer needs them. So that's why I'm choosing to pre-treat my shirts. But another option would be to buy your shirts already pre-treated from an online wholesaler. That way you don't have to worry about any of this. And if you have multiple DTGs available to you, you might actually want to do that. You might want to buy shirts that are already pre-treated and then just run them all through your 2 to 3 DTG printers or however many you have. Now, as you can see, I only have one DTG printer, but I still have 2 heat presses. And one of them actually comes included with your bundle when you buy the DTG. But my next tip is that you should actually be buying another heat press, especially if you are planning on pre-treating your own shirts. Now, the reason for this is because it takes maybe a few minutes on the DTG to do each print, but to pre-treat your shirts, it really only takes a few seconds to spray the shirt down, and then you have to wait about a minute to cure the pre-treat on the heat press. But if you have 2 heat presses, you can spray one shirt, throw it on one heat press, spray another shirt, throw it on the other heat press, and then be basically bouncing back and forth between the 2 of them, getting shirts pre-treated a lot quicker. And this brings me to probably the most important tip or most important thing that you have to make sure that you're doing right to get these orders done as quickly as possible. And to also take advantage of your investment when it comes to these machines, which is that your DTG printer should always be running and you should always be doing something. If your DTG printer is ever idle, or if you're ever idle, then you are leaving productivity on the table and you're being inefficient. Let me explain. If your DTG is ever idle, then that means that there is either a problem with your workflow or you are just not being efficient or fast enough at producing enough pre-treated shirts to feed into your DTG. And that means that every single minute or second or however amount of time that DTG is standing idle, it means that you are wasting time and wasting money. On the other hand, if you find moments in which you have nothing to do and you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for one machine to finish doing whatever it's doing, then that means that it might be time to actually think about investing in more machinery. Because if you find yourself having downtime, that means that you could possibly be operating more machines and as a result, making more product and making more money. All right, so right now I have a shirt in there and it's printing right now in the DTG. But check this out. Look at all these shirts that I already have pre-treated that are ready to go. You think, oh, that's awesome. You're actually ahead. You could actually maybe sit back, go grab a snack, take a nap, whatever. But this is actually not necessarily a good thing, because what this is showing me is that I am way ahead of my DTG printer. And what this is showing me is that I could actually be supplying many more DTG printers with t-shirts to print, meaning that I could be printing out more shirts in the same amount of time. So if what you're noticing is that you're capable of pre-treating and having a lot more shirts than you're able to print, then that means that it might be time to actually start considering whether or not you should be investing in more DTG printers, maybe 2 to 3 more, depending on how many you could operate at any given time, also taking into account the volume of your orders. So another tip, and this one brings me back to our heat presses over here, is that try to get a heat press that has an auto opening feature, even if it costs you a little bit more money. Here's why. So for example, this heat press, I'm just gonna set it to 3 seconds here, and then I'm gonna close it, and you're gonna see that as soon as the 3 seconds run out, it's gonna auto open. Not every heat press does this. And then it opens. Now the reason why this is important and why it could actually lead to an increase in productivity is because of the fact that you can literally just throw a shirt in there, set the timer and close it and forget about it, and literally just go on to doing other things like prepping more shirts, prepping your DTG, getting more things done, making more money, without having to worry that your heat press is going to ruin your shirt by overheating it. Now another great little feature that you should look for in a heat press that actually helps out more than you think is a slide out tray like this one. Now the reason why this could help you out in increasing productivity is because of the fact that when you're trying to get so many shirts done as quickly as possible, you're not really being too careful, meaning that you could actually kind of burn yourself while placing a shirt on here or taking one off. So this actually helps you stay safer and actually not have to worry about how fast you're going, since you could just slide this out, throw on your t-shirt there without having to work underneath the hot element of the press. Now let's talk about the design. So here's our design. I think that our designer Shane did a great job with it. Now obviously Halloween is coming up, so we thought why not do a Halloween inspired Print Pros design. Now there is one thing that I want to point out with this design, which brings me to my next tip, which is that there is actually a lot of black in this design. But as you can tell, it's not ink. It's actually the fabric of the t-shirt itself. And that is my next tip, which is that if there's ever black on your design, or if there's ever a color on your design that is the same as the shirt that you're printing it on, then I would suggest that you and your design software, or you ask your designer to do this for you, which is make that negative space. That way your printer does not actually have to put ink on that part of the design, and you can use the actual color of the garment as the fill for it. This is gonna save you ink, especially on these big runs, and it's also gonna save you time on the heat press, since you do not have to heat press a shirt that much when it doesn't have that much ink on it. So for example, if this entire design was filled with ink, then I would have to actually heat press this shirt for longer. Not to mention the fact that if you do have negative space on your design and it is not just one big block of ink, the shirt is gonna feel nicer when you wear it, and it's gonna breathe better. Okay, so those are my tips and tricks for getting large orders done using one DTG printer and 2 heat presses. If you guys have any other ideas or tips or tricks to get these kinds of projects done more efficiently, then make sure to drop them down in the comments below so that we could all kind of learn together and share our experiences. Also, if you guys want to connect with other apparel decorators like myself, make sure to join our free Facebook group, Embroidery and Custom Apparel Mastery. There you could also share any other experiences or ask any questions that you might have about DTG, embroidery, and any other kind of apparel decoration. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest news in the world of decorated apparel, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Ricoma HQ. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'll see you guys on the next episode. I'm going to go ahead and just pre-treat the rest of these shirts.